Hello, everyone. We have chosen to debate over the topic of whether empowerment or care is most beneficial when delivering services to transition-age youth and adults. We have 5 lovely ladies debating over this topic today, and here are some quick introductions for each of the team members. We have Taylor Perryman, who will be covering our pro-care section. She was born and raised in Tennessee, but currently lives in New Orleans. She has been working as an RLT for 2 years and plans to become a BCBA and continue to work at the Atlas Autism Center where she currently works. We have Kathy Schwer, who is going to be presenting our pro-empowerment argument. She was born and raised in Southern California, currently lives in Central Indiana, works in a high school special education department where she works hands-on with transition-age students, helping them complete surveys twice a year. And she is the mother of 6, of which the youngest was diagnosed with Asperger's at 8. We also have Sherry Lopez, who will be covering our Con Empowerment section. She's from Colorado and lives in Washington State. She is a mom of 4, and she's been working with individuals with autism for about 10 years and has a sister with ASD markers. She is studying to become a BCBA as well. We also have Courtney Lucer, who will be covering our Con Care section. She was born and raised in Ohio, currently lives in Denver. She's been working as an RBT for about a year now and works at the Joshua School in the transition program. She plans to become a BCBA and continue to work at the Joshua School. And there is me, Brianna Fox. I will be introducing the debate for us. I am from Indiana, but I currently live in Utah. I've been working as an RBT for about a year now, and when I get my BCBA, I hope to work in the school setting. To start off our debate, I'd like to give a quick introduction to our topic. So we are covering the topic of transitional services for transitional age youth. And transitional age just refers to those kids and students around the age of 18 who are transitioning from adolescence to adulthood. Some may be transitioning from high school to the workforce or high school to higher education. Some may be transitioning out of ABA services. So just any teenager around that age where a major life event is going to change. Transitional services are needed to help these individuals with their career exploration, helping them figure out what their next steps may be as they enter the workforce. They aid in continuing education or training, helping them decide what the best option for them is if they do want to continue education or go into higher education. It can help them develop independent life skills and enhance their health and well-being in those areas as well. So the 2 topics we'll cover with transitional services are care and empowerment. And care can be described as instruction and guidance from teachers and mentors who are very hands-on in the process of the transition, and they kind of go step with the student to guide them along the way and make sure they're going in the right direction, whereas empowerment can be more defined as giving someone the tools that they need and then sending them on their way and encouraging them as they go. And it's a more person-centered plan and less hands-on from the mentors and instructors.
When looking at care programs for individuals with disabilities that are transitioning age youth and young adults, there are many benefits to be found in providing care for post-school outcomes. Deviso, Denny, Bear, Flexer did a study in 2011. The study was conducted with a participant pool of 416 individuals with learning disabilities. The students were involved in a work-study participation in vocational education, and they found that this played a significant role in the continuation of post-school programs. By participating in vocational education programs, it's found to strengthen employment goals and reduce rates of dropping out of post-school programs following secondary education, which is a large benefit of care for transitioning age youth. Post-second education goals were found to be highly correlated with participation in mainstream activities, as found by DeViso and other researchers. The educational requirements that incorporated independent living skills and community participation activities were suggested for those diagnosed with learning disabilities. By incorporating activities that relate to future post-school choices, researchers of the study found that students were less likely to be absent or leave school early if they felt that the activities that they were involved in during their day-to-day school life were relevant to their future goals in their post-school outcomes. By providing a care program that tailors these goals to what they have in mind for their future after transitioning, you can find some benefits by creating these care programs. The role of the BCBA is to collaborate effectively with the education system to make sure that the individual's education plan is including these critical elements and justifying the rights of individuals with disabilities in their post-school outcomes. Many teachers have voiced their frustration with the lack of time students with disabilities have to work on specific career goals based on their capabilities and interests. It is important with students with disabilities to tailor their goals not on a standardized level, but on what they're capable of, and also letting them have a say-so in the care program and assessing what their desires are and what they have in mind of what they want to do in these post-school outcomes, which is a crucial part of providing these care programs. When employment experiences are introduced during the last 2 years of secondary education, results have shown positive influences on post-school employment outcomes for those diagnosed with learning disabilities. By giving close attention and detail to each student's individualized education program, also known as an IEP, you're provided with skills necessary to prepare these individuals' readiness for college, or if they decide that they would like to choose a career path. High school transition services that include participation in work-based learning experiences, such as career awareness, work study, and paid employment, have been shown to increase post-school outcomes when these are provided in the care programs for transitioning age youth. The BCBA should play a large role in the creation and maintenance of clients' IEP goals and plans. Things to keep in mind when the BCBA is working on these care programs for transitioning age is to make sure that the students with disabilities can include completion of online career searches, maybe go on company tours, field trips to potential work environments, and become involved in internships and apprenticeships. These are all great tips and tools to use when creating these care programs in order to see the most benefits come from the care. With the BCBA having such a large role in the IEP process, it is very crucial to stay up to date on the possibilities for the client's treatment plans to make sure they are receiving all the resources and outlets possible. To stay up to date with opportunities for career-based goals for individuals with disabilities in secondary schooling, some advice that I found while researching is to stay in contact with the local Chamber of Commerce and other community involvement agencies that are available in order to create a more individualized care program and see the most benefits that you can from that. I don't have any personal experience working with transition age youth, as I have had my experiences as an RBT with more early intervention clients, but I did see a really cool program in Jackson Hole, Wyoming last summer that it was an indoor farming facility that only hired those with developmental disabilities on the spectrum and other learning disabilities. The indoor farming facility provided jobs for these individuals that had desires to create a career path following their secondary education and creating post-school outcomes for these individuals. The indoor farming facility provided organic, healthy eating options for locals in the Jackson Hole, Wyoming area. Due to the climate of Jackson, Wyoming, outdoor farming really isn't an option for them, as they only have a couple of months out of the year where the weather would be prime time for growing things. So the indoor farming facility is a good way for them to reduce pollution, because there's not as many trucks bringing in shipped goods. You're able to create more jobs for your local community, and it provides jobs for these students with disabilities that have the desire to continue their post-school outcomes. Providing these jobs, I found on going on the tour, the employees seemed to have a sense of worth. They enjoyed going to their job. With it being farming and indoor, there is a huge routine behind doing this job, which, as we all know, working with those diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder is a desirable thing for those with ASD, to stay in a routine and kind of have sort of a checklist of what you're going to come into work and do every day. So creating a desirable job for these individuals was a great experience to get to learn about from Vertical Horizon. Visual aids were used to teach the transitioning age youth that had just began working the job, to teach them how to farm and have checklists to show when they've completed tasks and realized that their job has been done. And like I said, the routine behind it all, the individuals seem to really enjoy that. This care program was a great example, and when I started working with this debate, didn't have any personal experience, but I definitely thought that this could tie in to showing the benefits of providing care programs for these transitioning age youth and young adults that are looking for post-school outcomes after secondary education. In summary, it is important to strengthen employment goals for when creating their care programs, by giving them goals and targets and tasks to work on that are more related to their future goals. We're seeing a reduced rate of dropping out of post-school programs for these individuals. Incorporating independent living skills and community participation activities is a crucial part to see the benefits of care programs for transition age students. Also, incorporating work-based learning experiences increases participation in post-school outcomes as well. The BCBA's involvement in the IEP is very essential in ensuring that all of the goals and programs that are for care are individualized and tailored for each student and their specific goals and what their capabilities are in terms of what their options will be for post-school outcomes.
Con care. Many adults already have low self-esteem, and many times living arrangements, social factors, and work environments contribute to this satisfaction rate. When an individual is put into a care facility, there sometimes can be overcare, which gives no room for independence and does not create room to learn or grow for individuals. Some of these facilities also have a very low care quality. Many times, individuals with autism spectrum disorder, otherwise known as ASD, need support, which sometimes can become kind of intensive. And if these supports are at a low quality, this can actually do more harm than it can do good. Why would we want to provide an individual with such low levels of care or support and then continue to limit them from living their best life? Adults which have autism spectrum disorder have lower satisfaction in work, living arrangements, social relationships, and future perspectives on life, even when compared to people with other childhood diagnoses. When an individual is put into this type of care, one often loses their sense of value within our society. Everybody wants to feel valued, but when one is not able to be independent, have social relationships, have a job, etc., this value is often lost. As practitioners, we need to be able to teach these skills of self-confidence, job skills, independent skills, personal skills, so these individuals can avoid this type of living. A focus on the strengths of young people with disabilities during the transition period is surprisingly limited. We do not know what the actual need for strength building is or how to teach this within the transition age group. This has started a new push for more focus on the transition age, and more studies are currently being conducted. According to Biggs and Carter, considerable attention has focused on connecting these young people to the services they need, supports, and relationships needed to experience a high quality of life during and after high school. We need to set these individuals up to succeed every day right now and for their future. Slowly but surely, these opportunities have been popping up all over. These such opportunities are more available and ready than they have ever been before. Opportunities such as job opportunities, vocational work sites, college opportunities. The list has started to become endless. Having care facilities or the high level of care would only limit these opportunities, limit social interactions, and limit independence. Students with intellectual and developmental disabilities, such as autism spectrum disorder and Down syndrome, have more opportunities to go to college than ever before. With recent changes to the Higher Education Opportunity Act, students with an intellectual disability also can get federal financial aid for attending post-secondary education programs that meet federal requirements, just as any other atypical student. This is where they can learn these skills and build the skills they need to know. These skills will help them survive and thrive within our different communities. These individuals will have a sense of value within our society. These opportunities such as college, work sites, jobs, these opportunities help create natural teaching moments which help promote independence and help develop an individual's skills. Skills such as developing self-advocacy skills, personal skills, self-confidence, employment skills, skills for the transition into community life, which will help prevent care facilities, prevent loss of independence within individuals, and prevent low care quality.
When looking at care programs for post-school outcomes for transitioning age youth and young adults, CARE is using the guidance of teachers, mentors, BCBAs, and others in an educational setting in charge to create a post-school plan for the individuals with disabilities. By using this team, you can administer plans for the individual based on their capabilities and their desires and some goals that they might have for post-school outcomes after transitioning from high school. Some benefits are that care programs create more future-based plans for the individuals. By individualizing plans, you are more likely to achieve some of the goals that the individual might have for his or herself after graduating from high school and figuring out what is next on their journey. It strengthens work-based experiences. You can incorporate internships, apprenticeships, online surveys to figure out what kind of career goal the individual might have, and different tools such as those in order to create these care programs. Care programs also increase independent living skills, which is a goal for many individuals with disabilities, is to learn independence in life. There were some weaknesses that we found. First is the compromising of independence, that some feel care programs can compromise for individuals with disabilities. Overcare is a target that many people find as a weakness with care programs. By providing overcare, you compromise individuals' independence and lessen their room to grow and learn, sometimes a little bit too intensive of support from the care programs. And compromising that independence will sometimes have the students with disabilities lose their sense of value in society. There aren't very many studies done on the care programs, and so further research and data is desired by some before they would like to be involved in care programs, as they feel that there are some limits that have not been addressed yet, and also funding that is put into the care programs that needs to be addressed before some individuals would like to be involved in care programs when determining post-school outcomes for transitioning age, youth, and young adults.
Empowerment is person-centered transition planning. Examples include PATH or MAPS. Empowerment relies on the individual knowing his or her likes and dislikes, as well as dreams for the future and goals. Do they plan to live alone, with family or friends, or get married and have their own family? Would they rather work in an office or outside? What about working with a group or independently? Empowerment allows the individual to determine what they want in their life, rather than a team deciding and guiding an individual into a transition that the team feels is in the best interest of the individual in order to meet the team's goals of a successful transition. The individual is encouraged to become aware of his or her disability, along with strengths, weaknesses, interests, and future goals, and to be able to self-identify with their disability. Once one understands his or her strengths and weaknesses, as well as being empowered to self-identify, they are then made aware of their rights and the resources provided to them, and encouraged to self-educate and utilize these resources. Ideally, the individual will take advantage and utilize services such as college and vocational school disability services, vocational rehabilitation and training, and federal laws that protect a person's rights. All of these factors come together to allow the individual to pursue a transition that is in the best fit for them and to provide them with the support to achieve their goals. Whether or not you have a disability, people have a higher quality of life when decision-making is based on that individual's dreams, goals, and interests. A study by McDougall et al. In 2016 confirmed that self-determination improved quality of life for those individuals living with autism. This was measured based on satisfaction, wellness, and happiness within one's life. Additionally, when empowerment is utilized in transition, the overall outcome is improved, meaning the individuals are more likely to go further in their education, achieve higher levels of employment, have independence in living, more involvement in their community, and be more satisfied with their life. Empowerment is incredibly important at this point in society, as 50,000 people with autism reach adulthood each year. Currently, there are very few programs that focus on transition age groups. As high as 90% of those with autism are unemployed or underemployed. These adults will receive half of their service that they received as a child, and around 40% will receive no services. With empowerment, the individual is not only made aware of services that are available to them, but the laws that protect them, and they are more likely to self-advocate and seek out the services that are in their best interest. The poor adult outcome for those living with autism decreases overall quality of life and, according to Shattuck et al., may lead to the reduced life expectancy found in those with autism who do not have comorbid illnesses. This lack of service is known as the service cliff, and if we are not empowering children to self-advocate through supportive but not directive services, we will continue to see this trend. Adulthood comes even if we are not prepared. Currently, only 50% of parents and guardians have discussed transition with their teens, and only 30% have a plan.
I'm going to be talking about the cons of empowerment. We've discussed what empowerment is, and I look at empowerment as definitely being a great idea, but it ignores the barriers that exist in individuals' life that are outside their control. It's worth noting that these barriers exist for every individual. It's just that we're particularly focusing on individuals with intellectual disabilities when they're transitioning from adolescence to adulthood. So we have the intention of empowerment versus the facilitation. And then we have the hope of empowerment versus preparing for reality. My sister is definitely a person that comes to mind with this. She has an intellectual disability, and she was brought up as everyone else is that you can do what you want to do, put your mind to it, and work hard. And this is actually risky because what we found out from her is that it was a little bit of toxic positivity masked as empowerment. She had become a victim, and this is just one example of the IRS scam. And when I asked her why, before giving over $1,500 to a stranger, she hadn't contacted me to discuss what her options might possibly be and what's going on with this phone call, it was really because for her, there was a level of shame in the idea that she needed to reach out and ask for help, because as she specifically said to me, I'm an adult and I needed to take care of myself. So it was clear that in that transition, something was lost in attempting to empower her, there being no shame in seeking help and reaching out. So we definitely had some kind of gap in preparing her for reality and facilitating her into adulthood. So we also can further look into this when we talk to people who work with individuals with disabilities and what they believe their clients need. When they are asked if they support empowerment of their clients, the answer is overwhelmingly yes. However, that same group then tends to hinder any policies that are facilitating empowerment. Both of these choices, the answer yes, empowerment, and blocking policies that facilitate it, really do come from caring for their clients. They want their clients to feel good, but they understandably doubt their clients' understanding of the choices that they are presented with in adulthood and wondering, do they have the capacity to learn from these mistakes that adults always make and learn from? So we talk about you're making the choice and it's yours, and you're going to make a choice that's in your best interest. And if you don't, you learn from them. And this is part of empowerment and something that we want to support. But a study done by Suto in 2005 found that individuals with intellectual disabilities just don't learn from mistakes as we would like them to, because they don't have the capacity. So when it came to the finances, the mistakes were made repeatedly, and this caused a lot of financial ruin for individuals with intellectual disabilities. So we're going to find that the empowering idea of you can overcome a challenge is ignoring the barrier that they may not understand how to overcome a challenge. And if they have faced the challenge and made a mistake in the past, it's not necessarily a given that they're going to not make the mistake again. So when we talk about empowering, it has to be done with incredible caution. It has to be done with an understanding that it's okay to accept help. It's okay to seek help. It's okay to expect care and to seek care, because that would be preparing them for reality.
Empowerment can be defined as person-centered planning utilizing sense of self and self-determination. Individuals self-identify as a positive means to self-empowerment. The benefit is self-determination increases quality of life. The individuals are able to facilitate in reality. They're provided with the tools that they need to maintain a plan to reach their own goals. They are taught acceptance of their disability and learn how to get assistance as needed. The weaknesses are positive toxic positivity, concern over individual safeties. Individuals may not have the ability to learn from mistakes, and support may not be facilitated correctly. What I've experienced in working with high school special education is that the same small percentage of students utilize the resources that are provided to them in the form of a resource room that is set aside to help with modifications based on the individual's IEP. Many students will not self-identify and refuse help, as it is a form of self-identifying. Even a smaller group is able to take advantage of vocational trainings because they struggle to maintain graduation requirements and therefore do not have time in their schedule to attend vocation-based classes offered by the school. In an ideal situation, utilizing resources allows students to work in an environment that allows them optimal learning conditions when they are not or cannot be met in a classroom, which will then allow the students to become comfortable in using the resources provided to them, keep them on task towards graduation, and allow them to attend vocational training or college prep courses. It also is a great area for them to learn how to use resources and stand up for their rights. In reality, both care and empowerment are needed for optimal success. The amount of care versus empowerment is based on the need of the individual at any given time. Care should be fated with more guidance in early stages and less guidance and more mentoring as the person matures and becomes more empowered to care for themselves. In working with a team, more ideas are heard and collaborated. With a team, the individual with disabilities is better heard and better served. As we progress with our careers, it is essential to be a vital member of these teams if post-secondary outcomes are going to be successful with all individuals. Thank you for listening.